We are live, episode
108.
108. Oh, okay. 108. And we are joined by.
Should I introduce myself now then?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's
should
fine.
go ahead and do that.
Okay. All right. So my name is Ameer. I've known Ali Haejl for quite a while. I've known Saeed as well for quite a while, about 7 years. And I've also known Ali Shammari for about 10 minutes. So, so you can say we're all pretty well acquainted by now.
There you go. I have finally completed all of Ali's friends. I now know them all.
Amazing.
There we go. Anyways, well, you guys want to just jump right into what we're
Let's
talking about
jump right
today?
into it.
Just jump right
Jump
into
right
it.
into it.
All right.
It's
So-
10 years, not 7.
Come again.
Come again.
10 years.
You want to
Yeah.
type that? You want to write that down? Get-
Honestly.
okay.
Should Saeed come with like a blackboard right next to it? Just
Yeah,
write down.
Write down everything he has to write down. Because, like, it's getting out of hand now. It really is. But I can't. 10,
10.
10.
10,
Oh, this
10.
episode 10 with Saeed Jammal, you mean?
No. 10 years we've known each other.
Oh,
not
10
7.
Oh,
years. we've
10
known. Nice.
years.
Yes,
Damn.
yes, it's true.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
we've
Okay,
known each
well,
other
there-
for a very long time.
Very long
Yeah,
time.
dude.
Obviously, like,
Mhm.
I've met them all. And today I've met you. And,
Mhm.
like, you just fall in right with a bunch. Very good people.
That's pretty strange. I'm just like thinking about right now. Like, this is kind of the most surreal thing for me. Like, Ali, I've known you since I was a kid in Kuwait. And then
Mhm.
you guys, I've known like since high school and stuff.
It's like 15, 16, 17 years probably.
Yeah. it's and
Around
it's-
17 years.
And then it's like, I mean, years pass by, and like, who I would never have imagined that every single week I'm talking to Saeed Jammal and my high school days.
Nope.
And we're
I
doing.
mean, I never imagined I'd be on a podcast with you. Like, I only talk to you when I'm in Lebanon.
Mhm.
But before that, like, it was a weekend thing. Every weekend, my mom would, go over to your place with us, and we'd hang out and stuff. And, like, here we are, 109 days, 108 days strong with, meeting your friends,
Yes.
meeting new people every
Mhm.
day. But that's not the topic of today. The topic is, guys, anyone wants to announce it?
Anyone wants to announce Saeed
Yes.
Jammal?
Ameer, you can do it.
Okay, so the topic is basically we're going to try and talk briefly about philosophy, right? And we'll
Interesting.
see if there's any overlap between just our day-to-day basis or for instance, Ali's behavioral therapist background and how it kind of overlaps with Eastern philosophy. Because
Interesting.
oftentimes when they compare Eastern philosophy to Western philosophy, they don't really find that much in common. But when they come and compare it with psychotherapy, for instance, they're like, oh, okay, now we can see why this seems to be a method that people go to when they are having a hard time or they're experiencing what is commonly known as, suffering, right?
Oh, wow.
What?
That's
methods?
right.
By the way. Isn't it because, like, okay, Eastern and Western philosophy, there's obviously a cultural difference. But
Mhm.
when you want to talk about the psychology, I mean, it's all in common since it's the brain.
Right.
You can
Yeah.
it for everyone.
Yeah, but
I mean,
you know, it's
when
just-
I'm talking,
Everyone has this.
yeah.
True, but, like,
Brains
when
adapt to different
brains
environments.
adapt, but see, if we go back to, like, primal instincts, some people are like hunters, some are fighters, some are, it's different with everyone. But I think there should be a new sort of philosophy due to, the whole two sides of the worlds. We've mixed in so much,
Mhm.
like East and West. We've come together so much and mixed to the point where we started to adapt Eastern philosophy and some of their main guidelines as well as Western philosophy, and it's all coming down to like this very, very weird cocktail. And that's why, like, you
Mhm.
see a lot of changes from every generation to generation. It's like it or not, you might think, oh God, this is an episode about philosophy, but everyone's a philosopher of some
Wow.
kind,
Mhm.
where we all have our beliefs, our ideology.
Mhm.
We all draw different lines of what is right and what is wrong, morale, way of thinking, way of doing things. It's all different. So
Mm.
So
Yeah.
you're saying there should be like a new philosophy,
definitely.
starting a new religion?
It's not a new religion. Religion and philosophy.
School of thought, I guess.
It's not. We'll call it that. It's basically a new school of thought because religion is different than philosophy.
Is it?
Except for our religion is a philosophy and a way of life. Some religion is based on storytelling of the past and what happened, and so. Some religion is basically, like purely philosophy.
Isn't religion
Our
philosophy?
religion,
By concept,
I
like
mean,
the idea of a religion, isn't that philosophy?
I mean,
it is, but it's not as heavy. For example, if we look at Buddhism, right, and like the Indian religion and all that stuff, it's purely philosophy. If we look at Christianity, there isn't so much philosophy, but they do try to aspire to be the same as Jesus Christ. So that's their little own philosophy, right?
Yeah.
When it
that
comes
is
down to
that is the philosophy of being of what they call or I was called as just idolization of being a devotee. It is its
there
own
you go.
philosophy. It is the Christ philosophy. It
Yeah.
is, and it's not just exclusive to Western philosophy. You can see it even in Eastern sects of Buddhism and Hinduism, because they diverge into many sects, and some of them they also have that devotee aspect, and even to the most practical ones, even Zen Buddhism, you could reach the point where there's this particular sect called Ubako Zen, and they're highly devoted, right? They have that image of specific god to them, or the celestial Buddha called Amida, and they often idolize it just in the same way that the Christ image is idolized. So I think the main difference between the two isn't rather the approach of saying one of them is philosophical or not, but rather Western philosophy is more systematic, right? It tries to solve the problems in a more mathematical formulation kind of way. And you can see that in the works of Immanuel Kant or even Descartes, where they often say, they present the problem, say, for example, how do you create a system of morality? And Immanuel Kant will just say, well, try and make it into something that is a universal law that everyone can abide to. And if you can do that, then that would be, morally acceptable, because everyone would have to follow the same universal law. But then in the Eastern philosophy, it's more like, no, this is right, this is wrong. Those are the 8 codes of being. Learn to adapt to it. Well, how do I adapt to it? Well, there are some practices to allow you to calm down your incessant mind or your primal instinct, right? But Western is like, it tries to negotiate more with the mind. It tries to negotiate more with the experience and try to tell you, okay, let's try and speak to that incessant voice you have rather than try and calm it down. And that is what I think one of the primary differences there.
Yeah, I kind of from trying to understand what you're trying to say. So it's more like Eastern philosophy is kind of helping you become more at peace with yourself and the world, whereas Western philosophy is more like, no, every day you need to push yourself harder and harder and grow every single day until, and it's a whole continual process, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, well, that would vary from branch to branch of Eastern philosophy, and the same with Western philosophy. But what happens with the Eastern philosophy, for instance, is and Western, that the common point between them is they're both trying to, to a certain degree, especially the practical ones, they try to alleviate human suffering, right?
Life
They're
is
both
suffering.
Yeah, they're trying to get you to a place where the suffering is now is at a minimum, both. And Eastern philosophy tries to do that in a more practice or regiment focused way, whereas Western philosophy is more concerned with ideology and trying to navigate that intellectual spectrum. Or if you're right, because in Western thought, you're a psychologist, you would know the ID, the ego, the superego, right? Those are all like very common terms, right? Whereas when you move towards the Eastern psychotherapy or Eastern Buddhism, they often stray away from those topics and they say, well, it's just ego, right? And they often refer to the ego as the movement of the mind or the movement of thoughts. And the way they try to deal with it is they say, well, this voice, it's constantly negotiating with your experience. It's always trying to say, well, if you go and sit down, for instance, to meditate, well, it will negotiate with that experience, right? How can I make it shorter? How can I make it better? Why am I not feeling good, right? And then they have all those practices such as yoga and pranayama and such, where you control certain aspects of your day and you practice certain breathing techniques that that bring down your heart rate, they calm you down, and that leads to all of a sudden that experience of suffering or that negotiating voice has now calmed down rather, right? But on the other end of the spectrum, Western philosophy is more like, okay, see that voice, go along with it. Let's see, why is it negotiating poorly with your experience, right? I don't know how often you listen to Jordan Peterson, but he often mentions in his talks about contending with the voice, with your inner voice. And that is a lot of what Western philosophy is built on. It's about contending with that inner voice, trying to negotiate with it rather than calm it. It's more like, let me understand your mechanics.
Yeah. Wow.
Interesting. Well, I was thinking, do you guys want to do a little quiz about what kind of philosophy you are based on just answering a few questions?
Sure.
You guys are interested in doing that?
We'll do one of them, one round.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I pulled up
BuzzFeed-
4 for
BuzzFeed
each
quiz?
one of us.
Oh,
No,
right.
it's not
okay.
a BuzzFeed thing. It's this website I found quickly online, but I quickly checked it, and it's actually like, it's very real, you know? So here are 4, we are 4. Let's start. Who wants to go first? Anyone would like to volunteer?
I'll do it first.
Yeah, I'll
Right.
Or Saeed.
Okay,
Yeah, Saeed, you can do it. Saeed, go ahead.
All right. Here, I'll read you the options, right? You're on an airplane and there's a heavy turbulence. What do you feel or think? Turbulence is a normal part of flying and the masks haven't dropped down, so there is nothing to worry about. Oh, well, it may mean we're going to crash. We're probably going to crash, but I am going to remain calm and remember what to do. Well, as long as... Should I read it or do you think it's like super long?
Yeah, it's super long.
Oh, yeah.
You can pick
Pretty
Saeed.
sure. Yeah, I'll read them out loud as well. Well, as long as we're going to die, I'm going to enjoy watching what it looks like from the window.
That's the one.
There's no other evidence that we're going to crash, so I'm going to carry on with this in-flight magazine. Damn.
So
like
which one would you say you were?
There's literally nothing about panicking in this. I think I'd go with I'm gonna remain calm and remember that what to do in the event instructions.
All right, let's do the
Where's
next
the pen?
question.
Are you a
So
spiritual person, Saeed?
there are 30 questions.
Wow.
Are you a spiritual person? I mean, don't follow all the rules of a formal religion. I guess no. Is a bit vague for me. I'm in a gray area.
Oof.
I mean, if I were to
I'll just
choose
put-
for you based on like the
If I
past,
were to choose for you.
honestly, like
Yalla.
this really fits it. Yes, but I don't follow all the rules of a formal religion because that's very you, Saeed. But you want to choose no?
I'll go for that. Actually, it does sound
What are dreams? Ooh.
electrical. Man, I'm not even sure they exist, or if you just wake up in your mind trying to find reason and past. Your mind trying
What
to find
are dreams?
your mind trying to foresee the. Bro, I don't know. They're just like movies. None of this is actually.
So the electrical brain impulses that pull random thoughts from our memory.
Man, some of them.
Send
Okay,
it.
some of them feel very real, but reason from past events or like future-based events for me. Or maybe I guess I'll go for your trying to find the road to happiness. You know that
Well,
was it for me.
I think we already know Saeed's philosophy. It's indecisive.
There we go. There we go. So which one are you going for?
Happiness.
Which one?
The road to
Happiness, I believe that's what he said. Yeah.
Am I trying to find a road to happiness? What is?
All right.
Who has the last
Who
word?
has science and
Ooh.
experts and evidence? No
Of
one.
course.
Me.
Yeah,
Whatever
of course.
makes
I
me
trust the
happy.
science
Whatever
experts.
makes me happy, bro. Whatever makes me happy.
All right.
You physically reach out and slap someone. What has just happened? I've slapped someone. I'm not going to kind of read the others. I've slapped
Amazing. Do you think,
think
that
that-
maybe this is all just happening in your mind?
Fuck me.
We're getting real philosophical right now. Might as well get into the zone.
I'll go for the last one.
If it is, why am I not having a nice time 100% of the time?
Wait, which one?
The last one.
What do you think makes history repeat itself?
What do you think? Okay, problems. Does it? Because people are following rules. Yeah,
He's
I'll go for the third one. That sounds.
Because people have been following rules set for them by other people that has created a framework for repeated mistakes. Is
Yeah.
that the one?
Oof.
Yep.
That's pretty deep.
Where do
Yep.
morals come from?
Oof. Joel BuzzFeed quiz.
Why it's crazy. It makes most people, including myself, happy. The last one.
By the end of this, you get like a book art that matches your purse.
Is it okay to be greedy?
Food philosophy.
That's up to you.
Oof.
Do you value bravery?
Not when it's illogical or rational. It's one out of beat someone else. Yeah, I'll go for the third one.
When it's born out of a person's personal values.
You see a red door and you want it painted. Which color?
Black. No, I'm just 1 second. Because I agree with the sentiment quite like it
You
beyond.
see a red door and you want it painted.
Write down your answers from now, just so we don't have to you don't have to read them all over again. White.
You were planning to do this 4 times.
It should have been done by now, but Saeed is literally going into the zone, bro.
Hey, he's meditating. He's trying to focus. He's trying to be zen here. Yeah. What is it? You see a red door. What are you going to do with it?
Would you give Dobby a sock?
Absolutely.
Yes, David is wrong.
Slavery is wrong.
Dobby is a free elf. When you watch the news, do you wonder if it's real?
First one, fact checking. Man, halla, I have talked about this so many. Fact checking it is.
Done. My guy stays true to his word.
What flower symbolizes your philosophy?
What kind of bullshit is? I'm so sorry for asking, like making you do the Saeed. Honestly,
Some of them are cool questions, but what flower symbolizes your philosophy? Yes, Saeed.
Go for a rose, man. Does what it wants.
A rose on a vine, because it does what it wants. Saeed's just doing what he wants.
Do you diet?
Haejl.
What's your philosophy?
Yeah, the last.
It depends on whether or not a fitter body would make me happier than my favorite food would. So wholesome.
Why do you watch movies or TV shows?
Ooh. Why do you watch movies or TV?
To be entertained.
To be entertained. Are we not?
I guess. Are you not entertained? Do you get stressed out?
I have, but I exercise self-control.
I mean, that's bullshit,
Amazing.
but okay, fine.
Amazing. Yes.
Most of the time, that's
18 of 29. Would you be embarrassed or feel guilty if you completely pigged out?
What the fuck is pigged out?
It's like
picked up. Binge eat, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, possibly.
How much time do you spend thinking about the meaning of life? What are we here for?
Are we even here? Oh, let's go for that.
I mean,
Yeah, go for it.
what is most important? I want to know your actual answer for this.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, if you can take a second to think about it. What is most important?
No. It directly popped in front of me. It's finding yourself.
Oof. What's most important? Finding yourself.
A monk invites you to sit on a hill and meditate with him. What do you do?
Throw rocks off it. Nah, I'm joking. I'd actually try to meditate with them. Like, it'll be a bit of a struggle for me since I don't do it much, but I'll try to meditate with them.
Amazing.
So which
Sit
answer?
on the hill and meditate with them.
No, that's the third one.
Yeah.
What do you value most in food?
Experiencing a variety of foods.
Interesting. What do you value most about sleep?
The energy of my body, having time to view my thoughts and ideas, dreams, visiting other fun dreams, and being calm. The last one.
If you lived in the wilderness alone, would you bother to bathe?
Whoa.
But possibly less often.
Whoa.
I mean, it's not being very truthful. No. Listen, no one here is gonna judge you. You're being
No one's
truthful, and I
judging you.
value that.
Everyone's here
So-
just judging your philosophy. All your
Yeah.
opinions.
What does it mean? Okay, what does it mean that all people suffer in some way?
Oof.
We allow our emotions to translate an event. Yeah, it's the last one.
We allow our emotions to translate an event as suffering, but we can choose not to translate it that way. Deep.
Do you believe the world you live in is real?
Are we in a simulation?
Damn, that's a tough one. I believe. Only right now. This isn't real. First one. Go for the first one.
I
Fuck
believe
it.
the matter is real and tangible.
That's the only
Almost
thing.
there, buddy.
If two more, if something bad happens, how should you respond to it?
Fix happen. I like forward. First one.
Look at the data.
Which do you trust most? Do you trust your eyes or your mind?
Ooh.
Be careful.
Shit.
Yes, yeah, this is very. Be careful here, Saeed. Think about it. It's the last question. It's the last question
It's the
for a
last
reason.
question.
It's the last question for a reason. It's the most important
Please
one.
stop. My mind. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Ooh.
Okay, well, you're an existentialism.
You're all of
That's-
it,
that's-
apparently.
So let's read a little bit about what you are. So existentialism is the thought that there is no inherent meaning or purpose in the world except that which we create for ourselves. We have free will and should use our freedom to create our own, no thanks, morals. And we value independent of authority figures while also not imposing our values and morals for the love of God on others as a rule. Yeah, I'd say this fits you most.
I see this fits you the most.
I agree. To be honest, I agree.
Why do you agree? Do you now that you saw? Did this help you like understand yourself more? Did it? It probably does. It probably did.
There's a
was
little
me.
like,
It's like a personality test, but philosophy.
yeah,
You're
pretty
very
much.
hedonistic.
So-
You're 8% hedonism. Ew. Ew. You freaking freak.
I mean,
could be.
logical positivism. I don't know how to say
I like
that
that.
word. You're
You're a
34%.
positive guy, Saeed.
That's not what logical positivism is.
Wait, what is logical positivism?
It's a
Yeah.
form of empiricism. That's what it is.
I see. You trust
It's
your
trying
eyes,
to
huh?
say.
You trust your eyes?
Can you go?
No, you don't actually.
Can I what?
No, can you go on, Ameer? Can you go into details about logical positivism?
Well, I can go into it briefly because I don't know much about it, but I do know it started out after the sophists, and sophists were really good people at arguing and very skillful. And after that, people came and they were talking about all those big questions: what is the meaning of life? Does God exist? And so on, right? And then eventually, what happened was a bunch of people came through and they were like, why are we doing this? This is a waste of time. And those people were the
Yeah.
logical positives. They wanted people to stop asking questions that cannot be confirmed or denied. And as such, they said the only true things are the things that can be confirmed through the senses. And that's how the logical positivism came into place, because they were just, if we cannot confirm it, then it's not worthwhile. Obviously, that did not hold on very long because people came in later and they're like, okay, if you do this, then you're also shunning the possibility of scientific questions, which for a big portion cannot be confirmed or denied either. There's a big portion of scientific questions that cannot be confirmed or denied. But what I would
All of
say-
it.
Yeah, basically. But I
Alright.
suppose on an individual experience, the importance of logical positivism is to make sure that you're very aware of your reality and not to draw too many conclusions from what you are getting from your sensory data. Don't-
Well, now I'm more curious. I really want to know what you'd get. So, do you guys want to do another one for our new friend over here, or do you want to just?
Well, you want to do one
I
fast?
mean,
Amir?
Amir. Like, we'll do a really quick one.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah, let's
mind.
do it. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Let's
let's do
go.
one. That'll be fun. Yeah, sure.
All right, here we'll open a new page. There we go. All right, you know the questions. Let's try to get them.
We know the questions.
Yeah.
You're on an
I
airplane.
would choose the last one.
There's no other evidence or suggestion.
Are you a spiritual person?
Yes, I can be.
What are dreams?
Ooh, I mean, I don't find the one that relates to what it is. I would say it's about like desire and fears. Those are the main two things. So I would say your mind trying to find the road to happiness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got a right answer.
Who has the last word?
Who has the last word? I would say no one.
Oh.
Interesting. You
It's the
physically
first one.
reach out and slap someone. What just happened?
It's the first one. What?
Yeah, I would say it doesn't matter at this point. Yeah. What is
damn it.
this?
Okay.
You think that's maybe all just happening in your mind? No. What do you think makes history repeat itself? Well, probably the last one.
Yeah, I would say so too.
Where do
All right.
walls come from?
Last one as well. It was reasonable and rational.
2 out of 29.
Correct.
Is it okay?
Bravo. Less periodic.
Is it okay to be greedy?
Is it okay to be greedy? No.
Do you value bravery?
Not when it's illogical or rational. No. First one.
Fuck, I should have
Alright.
picked that one.
Black
I
because
knew it.
that's how this song goes. The
Is
first
that
one.
the
Yeah.
one you want?
You
Yeah.
see
Yeah,
it?
it's just
Red door. And I want it.
Don't go.
yes.
Yeah, free man.
I told
You watch the news. Do you wonder if it's real? Let me just read the other ones real quick. Yeah, I mean, this is what fact checking is for. Yeah.
Flower. What flower symbolizes your philosophy?
Probably a cactus blossom here. Yeah.
I'd go for that too. So
Cuete. All you have is cactus. The only thing that can grow there is a cactus.
we have palm trees, bro.
Do you diet? I adjust my diet according to changes. Yeah, the first one.
Oh, come on. I knew it. I was gonna pick that one.
Why do you watch movies or TV shows? Well, primarily entertainment. So yeah, to be entertained.
Do you get stressed out?
Do I get stressed out? Yeah, everyone experiences stress. The first one.
Would you embarrassed or feel guilty if you completely pigged out?
Yes, absolutely.
How much time do you spend thinking about the meaning of life?
Some, not too much. What?
What are we here for?
Right.
What are we here for? To pursue wisdom and virtue, I would say. Yeah.
Interesting. What is the most important to you?
Truth.
So again, a monk invites you to meditate with him. What do you do?
Sit and meditate with them.
What do you value most in food? Nutrition, survival, experiencing variety of food, or how much I enjoy a particular food?
Variety is nice.
Okay, what do you value most about sleep?
Yeah, re-energizing. The first one, yeah.
If you lived in wilderness alone, would you bother to bathe?
Yeah. I don't know, for the enjoyment of it, I guess.
Okay, well, what does it mean that all people suffer in some way?
First one. So it's not possible.
Do you believe the world you live in is real?
Whoa.
To be so second one. Believe the world.
Second last, if something bad happens, how should you respond to it?
Just accept it.
And finally, which do you trust?
My eyes, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, well, Stoicism. So let me read a little bit about it. So that is about acceptance. Stoics believe that each individual should try to achieve the 4 tenets of virtue: wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. A Stoic could, barring unforeseen circumstances, make the decision to strive to master those 4 things. Beyond that, Stoics accept that, for the love of God.
Share it on Facebook.
No, bro. Beyond that, so accept that hardships.
Yeah,
Well,
but
you guys can read it. Pretty much. So
Like,
would you agree with what you got?
Happens, and for your own sanity, you shouldn't get emotional about it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, there's obviously an aspect of stoicism and the way I view things. Now, I don't know if it's the dominant one in reality, in my experience, but if obviously we chose the answers based on what we idolize, right? So how much we fit, how much we follow that ideal is subjective.
There we go. I like that answer. Well, I mean,
Trust.
when we
Look
think
at your
about
eyes.
it, like
each one
yeah.
of those, like, we're pretty deep. I was telling when Saeed picked, which do you trust, your eyes or your mind? I'm like, definitely not my mind. I don't trust my mind at all.
Yeah, it's
People are messing with that way too much. I can't see my eyes.
Well, I wouldn't have chosen either, to be honest. I would have left that question because for me,
not an
it's more of
option.
a.
I know you're trying to act smart, but it's
It's not that I'm trying to act smart. I'm just being as honest as I can be. For me, it's when I see something, does it make sense in my head? Or when I'm thinking about something, does it make sense according to what I see? Like, it's more of a moderation of both,
Sure.
my eyes and my mind.
Mhm.
That's for me. That's why I like.
But what's more easily corrupt? What do you trust more? Was the question. What do
I
you
mean,
trust more?
I can show you anything, but convince you otherwise. And at the same time, I can convince you
Sure.
something, even though you've seen something different. So it's a very, very hard question to choose. I can't choose between the two. And I'm just being extremely honest. I cannot choose between the two because either or, it doesn't work like that. And life does not work like that. Not everything you see is real, and not everything you think is right. And I know it's hard for some people to accept this fact of the life, but end of the day, it's a fact. And I've always quoted Ben Shapiro on this: facts don't care about your feelings, right? So life is life, things happen.
You're brave to quote Ben Shapiro publicly.
You're pretty, but well, we appreciate bravery. You know how it goes.
It is. Okay, I'm just gonna need to take a 5 minutes. I'll be back.
All right, sounds good. All right, Salam boys.
all right,
Okay.
it's the 3 boys.
It's the 3 boys.
It's the Warzone squad, isn't
It's
it?
the Warzone. Are you playing Warzone at all? We should play Warzone after this.
Very briefly, but yeah, I would love to play with you guys. Yeah.
Zane, are you free after this?
Um,
On like Wi-Fi? Yeah.
No.
Oh, you don't have.
Moment shit.
Sorry, boys. I had an important phone call. I usually don't answer until I'm done with filming, but like it's very, very important. Anyways, so let's get back to the topic at hand. Obviously, we're gonna cut this part out.
Because I mentioned Warzone for like 1 minute.
No, of me
Accept
leaving,
it.
so we
Accept
can just
it.
keep
Hey,
it.
hey,
Yeah,
accept it. Okay.
Yeah.
It happened. It's part of the past. Don't stress about it too much.
Or you could
keep moving forward. Yeah.
Moving forward.
I think so. Yeah, I guess that I quoted.
Ali, what do
yeah,
you
I
think
just
is your
realized.
philosophy, Ali? Without the BuzzFeed.
Mine?
Uh-huh.
It's a hard question, but for me, I kind of take like from every single philosophy a little bit of what I believe in and what I feel like is morally right or I identify with. So that's why in the beginning I said I think we need a new school of thought where East meets West or West meets East. I can't say
We
that
meet each
right.
other
So
in the Middle East. Yes.
pretty much, yeah. And
Ali,
then
I want-
that's what I think.
I want to say, Ali, you're so like for me, Ameer, Saeed, we're like from Lebanon. We're open. Like we went to international school. We have a bunch of different backgrounds. You are like very like Kuwaiti. You're Arab, right? But you're open-minded to all these different ideas. I just want to know like where, like, because I know a lot of like a lot of Arabs are more
People here are
stricter,
very conservative.
conservative or
Yeah.
stricter, right? So,
Mhm.
but you are more open-minded. When I don't know what is it about that?
When did it happen?
Yeah.
Why did I turn out like? Well,
Why are you trying to
I
start
think I'll tell you. Basically, ever since like even when I was a kid, and my mom would always tell me this is my way of thinking was completely different. Like I read a lot about everything. I take interest on anything and everything very easily and very quickly. So people keep following the past, and history tends to repeat itself because people are held on very tightly to their beliefs of what their fathers taught them and their fathers before them. I did not like that. I did not like where everything was going, and I was able to see the pattern from afar, right? So I decided to go and change myself and just I took one step back. I looked at everything at a distance, then I dived back in very slowly. This was like I discovered myself and what I truly believe in and everything around the age of 16, 17. So not that far off ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. Before that, I was very similar to everyone around me, very strict, very conservative, very, like no, yes. But then I realized that change is not something we control. Change is a must. We all have to change whether we like it or not, And like my cousins ask me, they go like, no, that's not true. You have to stick to your roots. I was like, okay, I admire my roots. It's not like I've completely left it, but I don't see you milking a camel in the middle of the desert. You're in like a 3-story house, right? Air conditioned and cars. That's how you get around.
Exactly. If
not
you're
on the
just
back
sick
of
of
a horse.
tradition, you'll be like walking around in your sandals on a camel.
Yeah.
If you're really that.
Pretty
stuck to
much,
tradition,
yeah.
right?
But you're here wearing Abercrombie and Fitch, right? Having perfumes on, and you're like Land Cruiser. It's not the same. Things change, and unless we learn to adapt and change with certain aspects of our lives, like we will never move forward as people, as a community, as a country, as human beings as a whole. Right now, this is where people start to say no, but change is bad, and some people change you can't control change. This is something we all agree on, and no one can deny. Except there is a but in this, right? You can decide on whether you want to change for the good or for the bad. This is where I tend to like help people and try to understand is change is change. We're all going to change, like it or not. But do you want to change towards a better future, a betterment of yourself for your future generations, or do you want to hold on and let them change on their own and fall into a path where it's far like broken way beyond repair? This was me growing up. This was how I decided to read and look around and basically
Ali, in
ask.
your opinion, that like whenever there's like change and like evolution and things, we should go along with it, no matter what.
Not go along with it, but learn to adapt, yet still stay good and on the safe side and be good, because let's be honest, we can't change how, like, if I was to talk about what's going on here, people are too hard holding on their traditions and things, and this happens as well in any other Gulf country.
Could you like
I
tell me,
believe
like, what do you mean by like too much holding? Things you like see there, like maybe you should like slack down a little bit.
well, like things like tradition and like tradition is good. I'm with tradition. It helps us remember who we are as people, as Arabs. And I've said this before. The second we lose our tradition and the second we completely forget our tradition, We leave for other people to tell us who we are.
Mhm.
And that's the most dangerous thing that can happen. Right? So, like, see, it's hard to say because I can get in trouble for saying
Fair.
this.
That's fair.
But,
All right.
you know, like,
Yeah, that's that's fair. I think you said something that's really important. That's like, okay, change is happening. Every single day something new happens, but you have the choice whether or not you want to do some, like, make good out of it,
Yep.
bad choices out of it. I think that's
Yeah.
Mhm.
That is important. What about you guys? What do you think about? Is there anything you want to add to what I said, or?
I want to ask a question.
I'd like to hear Ameer's thoughts.
Yeah, I want to hear what he has to say. Honestly.
About change in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean about anything of what I just mentioned: tradition, change,
Tradition,
culture.
Arabia. Yeah, we can talk about
Yeah.
like, we like to hold on to our culture a little much. So I don't know if that's a good thing or we should open up.
Well, just from a practical point of view, because that's the one I like to try to keep when I look at those things, and culture and tradition, they play an important role in setting up the community's sets of rules and expected behaviors, right? So they are the tools that help develop the ethos of the community. And it's very important to keep as much track of that as possible, because you want to make sure you're understanding how this tradition is affecting you and how it's going to propagate into the future, and whether it should be adjusted to meet the contemporary standards, right? So one of the biggest issues with religion is that oftentimes people hold on to it too literally, even though it's a much more open field, right? And it can be interpreted in ways that match the contemporary pace. And because of that, now there's that conflict between the religious element, and the actual reality of what's happening, and that creates a lot of tension and puts people in a cognitive dissonance. People are feeling a lot of times that they're guilty about the things that they do just because they don't go along with that past ideology. So I think tradition plays a very important role in defining who we are. But I think if you don't realize the mechanics of how it works, then it could be more harmful than it is good, just because it could create more identification, more attachment to ideals that need to be let go of to allow new things to come off. It's like the analogy I like to use is forest fires, right? When they happen, they often happen to burn off the topsoil, and they also burn off the older wood, right? So they happen like annually sometimes, with the intention of burning off the topsoil layer to prepare it for the new season, for the new season where those new forest trees are gonna grow. So in the same way, there should be some kind of mechanism in which you filter out the ideas of tradition that are being held on to too tightly, and you need to identify which is worth holding on to and which is not. In the sense where, how do you self-actualize or find yourself relative to tradition? Well, I would say if you're already lost, then it might be you might be better off completely avoiding that in the first place, because avoiding trying to find that answer in tradition. If you're already confused, tradition could be a place where you get even more confused, and you could fall into because when people go into crisis, and I'd want to ask you about this, because you've been in the field where you've met patients that go into crisis because of their identity, is that when people go into crisis, they often follow some extreme path, and they end up falling into radicalism and extremism, just because that is so much more concrete. It's like, well, when you're extreme, okay, there's no room for error, right? You just know that this is that is that, but it's also very dangerous ideology, but it's very certain, right? It takes away any sort of uncertainty. It gives you a right and wrong for everything, right?
It's easy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely very easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask you, in your experience, what are the main things that lead people to fall into that crisis?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you mentioned, just not that crisis, as in like, why do people generally have like mental health issues? Is there like there are some ideas that they're like all mental health kind of stems from a general like imbalance, um, and in human nature. I don't know how to say it.
Mm.
What's yeah? What do you want to more? What do
No,
you want to
like
know some more?
particularly for instance,
Yeah.
you know, when people go into highly elevated levels of stress, right? They
Sure.
often experience something like depersonalization and derealization, right?
Yeah.
Where they're completely detached from their identity, right? And in that space, when they've now detached, they can often go into other more extreme situations, especially if they're like genetically predisposed. They can go into psychosis. They can develop borderline personality disorder.
I'll share this one. I'll share this one story. HIPAA. I think I'll be able to share this. I won't say any names. Don't say anything. But I once knew this one kid. He was a young boy, and I started off with him, and like he literally thought he was a dinosaur. He was like this young kid. He'd walk around with a tail, and he'd be like, all the time.
Remind me to tell you a story after this.
And I was like, and I like my case, I'm supposed to come in and just like help this kid out, right? Like, okay, so okay. So I'd be like, hey, you're a kid. He's like, no, I'm a dinosaur. Roar. And he'd walk around and he'd smash things and he'd do things that are like not like, I don't know. So I was like, why is he doing this? Why is he doing this? And so I wasn't like really able to find out like why he was doing it, but the way like we were able to work about it is like try to find what are things that make you human and try to like do more of that. So we like start playing sports and stuff. You can't play sports if you're a dinosaur. Sorry. Can't play sports with a tail. Sorry, kiddo. Stuff like that. And then yeah, and we do like different like activities like go for a walk or like talk to people as a human being, not as a dinosaur, and stuff like the more you like there
You
just
made
you
him
have
a
to be
human
more
again.
you could yeah make him yeah, exactly. You just got to remind yourself what does it mean to be human, right? And try not to stray too much from that. And I think what like really makes us human is our relationships and the strength of our relationships and like the health and like and being straightforward. Like whatever like that kid's relationships were kind of messed up. He didn't have like some kind of like role figure model, right, like to look up to. So he looked up to this dinosaur. But when he saw in a replacement that, oh no, not only can I be like a good boy, I can be like a great boy, and like and like can follow this model and be more of a human.
Yeah, there's often a gap in those cases, right? There's a gap of what you're identifying with, and like you said, one of the best ways is to just get out there and start being more human, right? The story I wanted to tell you actually comes. It was I think you might remember this. This is from like school, back in one of our physics classes with Ustaz Ahmad. One of the people they asked, one of the guys they asked him about psychedelic drugs or something. I don't remember exactly. And he's like, I remember having, he was like, oh, I remember one time we had a friend who took psychedelic drugs, and he thought he was, he thought he was a cup filled with orange juice, and he walked around telling people, please don't tip me over or I'll spill.
I'm glad we're ending things lightly because we have unfortunately reached out.
Yeah, I realized
we went overboard here. Yeah, this was a good talk, boys. I honestly really enjoyed this. It was a very good talk. I'm glad I finally got to share my views and ideas, and I'm glad to hear all of your ideas. It's a really fun one. Anyways,
this was really fun.
Yeah,
thank you for
anything
having
you guys
me.
want to shout
guys
out?
Come on, talk about philosophy on a podcast.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes.
So anything?
Yeah, shout out. Let's shout out Ameer stuff. Ameer, what should we check out?
Well, people can go on my Instagram at Philosodies, and from there on, they can go to the YouTube. There's content on YouTube. There's content on Instagram, and there's more to come. Right? There's a lot for them to learn from, and hopefully, it can be something beneficial to everyone.
Hopefully, and Thank you to
Thank
both of
you.
you
Saeed,
and
once
to
again,
Saeed for
lovely to see
coming.
you every week.
Yep, it is.
Thank you
Anyways,
for
I don't
having
know
me.
if you
Like,
guys
subscribe,
subscribe.
do
This
anything
is
you want,
usually how
share
we
it.
sign out.
Yes.
And peace.